A man stands in the shadow of death. He's a criminal with a sentence of death over his life. The judgment that he deserved is about to come. Matthew 27, verse 16 says this. At that time, they were holding a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when the people gathered together, Pilate said to them, "Whom do you want me to release for you, Barabbas or Yeshua, Jesus, who is called Mashiach, Messiah, the Christ, the Anointed One?" A man called Barabbas. It says in Mark 15, verse 7, a man called Barabbas was in prison with the insurrectionists who had committed murder in the uprising. Luke 23 says this, 19, Barabbas had been thrown into prison for an insurrection in the city and for murder. Luke uses a different word for insurrection. He used the word that means dissension, uproar, uprising. Gospel of John says this, John 18, verse 40, now Barabbas had taken part in an uprising, and it calls him, Barabbas actually calls him a thief, a robber, but he uses a word that Josephus, the ancient Jewish historian, also uses, which speaks of specifically not just thieves and robbers, but speaks of revolutionaries. One more gives us clues on who Barabbas was. Acts 3, verse 14. You disowned the holy and righteous one and asked that a murderer be released to you. What do we know about Barabbas? What can we fill in here? Who was he? He was a criminal. He was a revolutionary. He was undoubtedly a violent man. He was caught. He was sentenced to death by the Romans. But this Passover, as he waits in his prison, will come a surprise for him. He will encounter one whose true identity he could never have imagined at the time. Barabbas is in his prison cell. Across Jerusalem, in a different chamber that previous night, are the nation's leaders, the priests, the high priest. That night, Caiaphas, the high priest, judges a man guilty to be killed. Caiaphas is involved with holy things. Caiaphas is the high priest. He's involved with the sacrifices. And all the priests know the law of the sacrifices. They offered up many sacrifices for sin. The sin offering in Hebrew is called the hata'ah. The word means sin offering, but the offering for sin, but it doesn't just mean the offering for sin. The word hata'ah doesn't just mean the sacrifice, it means literally the sin. The sacrifice for sin becomes the sin. It becomes the sin of the one who offers it or the one for whom it's offered.
To find out how you can receive more of Jonathan's teachings, to receive special free gifts, or get in touch, go to hopeoftheworld.org or call toll-free 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821. You can also get more at Jonathan Cahn's Facebook page or write us direct at Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA. Hope of the World is dedicated to the goal of spreading God's Word and salvation to every land and people. We do this by spreading the Word throughout the world and sponsoring compassion projects to the most poor and needy around the earth. To get in touch or have a part in God's work, just write to Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA. Or go to hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821.